Hello everyone. In this lecture, we are going to see the disposal of the sewage effluent. So, contents of these modules which covers sewage disposal methods, discharge of raw and treated sewage on land and water, standards for disposal raw and treated sewage on land and water, limits of dilution and sewage farming. So, disposal of the treated sewage or sewage effluent. So, why we require this disposal of sewage? The disposal of sewage effluent is the last stage of the getting of sewage after subjecting it into the various steps of processes. That is, we are providing the treatment such as primary, secondary and tertiary treatment before the sewage it will goes for the discharge or goes to the water body for its discharge. So, the treatment of transforming the sewage into the harmless liquid which fulfills the minimum standards of health and sanitation. So, there are some permissible limits or discharge standards when the treated sewage is disposal into the land or into the water body. The main object of controlling disposal of sewage are to render the sewage inoffensive, to save the aquatic life in stream, to eliminate the danger of contamination of water supplies. The amount or degree of treatment that should be given to the sewage depends upon the source of its disposal as well as its capacity to assimilate the impurities present in the sewage without itself getting polluted or less useful. So before designing the treatment plant, first the source of disposal has to be selected. The best method of disposal is always difficult to decide. The method of disposal are classified into main groups. So first is natural methods. So naturally we are disposing this sewage, treated sewage, either treated sewage or a raw sewage into the water body. So natural method by which the treated or untreated sewage is disposed of by dilution or disposal into water, that is into sea, lakes or rivers, and disposal on land or land treatment, that is sewage farming and irrigation. So basically there are two methods of sewage disposal. One is natural method and another one is artificial method. So in natural methods, either we are disposing sewage into the water bodies such as sea, lakes and river, or we are disposing the treated or untreated sewage onto the land, and the method adoption for this is sewage farming or irrigation. So as you can see in this picture, this is the natural disposal method of treated or untreated sewage. So the sewer pipe is directly, its outlet is directly placed onto these river bodies or into the sea or into the lake. So that untreated or treated sewage is directly discharging into this natural body, and because of its huge area and huge capacity, so self purification is happening in these water bodies that we will see in later or in next lecture. So next is artificial method. So artificial method by which the sewage is disposed of only after subjecting it to various treatments. So while artificially discharging the sewage, we are providing the pre-treatments like primary and secondary or sometimes advanced or tertiary treatment. So in primary treatment, that all the treatment we already discussed in previous lectures. So in primary treatment, we are going to provide the screening and grit removal or grit chamber or primary sedimentation tank. And in secondary treatment or the biological treatment, we are providing some units like trickling filter, oxidation pond, activated sludge process, etc. So nowadays the actual practice is to use both the methods. The sewage is first given the treatment and then it is disposed of by any of the natural method. If full treatment is not given, at least the primary treatment is given before disposal. So nowadays it is compulsory to treat the sewage. So this picture shows the artificial method of disposal of sewage. So next method is disposal by dilution. So what is this? The dilution is a predominated natural method of disposal. Disposal by dilution is the process whereby the raw or treated sewage is discharged into the water bodies such as river, lake, sea, etc. The discharged sewage in due course of time is purified by self-purification process of the natural water bodies. The sewage is mainly purified due to the oxidation of organic matter by bacteria using dissolved oxygen present in the water bodies. So in huge water bodies like sea, lake and rivers, the some amount of natural dissolved oxygen is present in that water bodies or surface of these water bodies. So self purification is happening naturally. So again the self purification is depends on the presence of oxygen into the water bodies. So oxidization of organic matter takes place naturally in the presence of dissolved oxygen by the bacteria present in that water. So again the degree of treatment given to the raw sewage before disposing it into any river will depends not only upon the quality of raw sewage but also on the self purification capacity of river and the intended use of its water at the downstream site. So before going to discharging this treated or untreated sewage into the natural body, first we have to check its self purification capacity. That means the content of dissolved oxygen present in that body and how much the area it will cover. This method can be used only for the town or cities which are located near the river or sea or have a large lake which can be used as a source of disposal. So what are the conditions favoring the disposal by dilutions? So there are some factors like the dilution method for disposing of the sewage can favorable by adopted under the following conditions such as when the sewage is comparatively fresh, that is it is discharged within 3 to 4 hours of its collection. That time only we are discharging the sewage directly into the water body. So the sewage must be fresh. When the floating matter or settleable solids have been removed by primary treatment. So before discharging the sewage into the natural water body for its self purification, so primary treatment is must, or we should provide the primary treatment like screening or grit chamber for removal of floatable and heavy particles, settleable particles. When the diluting water has high dissolved oxygen content, so that not only the BOD or biochemical oxygen demand is satisfied, but sufficient dissolved oxygen remains available for the aquatic life. So again, the discharging of sewage, untreated or treated sewage is depending on its presence of dissolved oxygen quantity. Next, where the dilution water are not used for purpose of navigation or water supply for at least some reasonable distance on the downstream from the point of sewage disposal. That means that discharging point, disposal points is far away from this navigation or water supply lines. Where flow current of the diluting water are favorable, causing no deposition or destruction to aquatic life. It means that swift forward current are helpful as they easily carry away the sewage to the point of unlimited dilution. On the other hand, slow back current tends to cause sedimentation resulting in large sludge deposition. Where the wastewater does not contain industrial wastewater having toxic substances. As we already discussed, When we are disposing a sewage into the natural body, it contains some amount of dissolved oxygen content, but the industrial wastewater disposal, it doesn't have any dissolved oxygen, because that sewage is highly polluted, and when it will directly discharge into the water bodies, it will harmful for the aquatic life because of depletion of dissolved oxygen level or dissolved oxygen content. When the outfall sewer of the city or the treatment plant is situated near some natural waters. So these are some parameters which we are considering while disposal of sewage, treated or untreated sewage. So next is the type of receiving water for dilution. So which type of water bodies which are suitable for receiving the untreated or treated sewage. The following are the types of receiving waters into which the wastewater or effluent can be discharged for dilution. First is perennial rivers and streams, lakes, oceans or sea, estuaries and creeks. Next, the perennial rivers or streams are probably the best type of receiving water since the water is in continuous motion. Also, in the natural stream, there is a balance between plant and animal life, which considerable interaction among the various life forms. So, the depending on its capacity and presence of dissolved oxygen level, we are selecting the water body or water course for the disposal of sewage. Again, however, the discharge flowing during summer and during winter varies. So during summer, there may be a minimum flow in the stream, so the dilution factor may be low. And also, high temperature of water may result in low solubility of oxygen, necessitating the proper treatment before dilution. Sometimes, especially when the perennial streams are not available, lake may be used for dilution. Various characteristics of lakes such as its size, shape, volume of fresh water flowing into it, etc. should be critically examined before deciding the self-purification capacity. The ocean has abundant water so that the dilution factor is unlimited. However, seawater has about 20% less dissolved oxygen than river or stream. The water is turbid due to dissolved impurities and penetration of sun rays, etc. So, due to this, proper care has to be taken in dilution by sea, otherwise, anaerobic conditions would occur, resulting in forming of sludge blankets, and emission of foul odors. A creek is in the form of an inlet on sea coast which may not have dry weather flow during some part of year. Due to this, a great care should be taken in disposal of effluent into it. The estuary is wide lower tidal part of the river. Hence, dilution in an estuary is affected both by ocean water as well as the river water. So, however, the process of dilution is generally satisfactory in estuaries. So, the whole factors are depending on the capacity, size, shape of water body course, the characteristics of sewage, the dissolved oxygen contents in natural water body, the capacity of that or water availability, fresh water availability in that water body. So these are some factors on which we are deciding the which course we have to select for disposal of sewage. So next is disposal of wastewater into lake. Disposal of wastewater in confined in much more harmful than its disposal in flowing stream and river. Water quality management is entirely different from that in river. The river is flowing water body while lake has a stagnant water course. So in lake, only top surface would become saturated with dissolved oxygen, but the bottom layer would not have enough oxygen. So overturning of layers would not occur frequently in lake, so that dissolved oxygen content would not be uniform throughout the depth of lake. Overturning takes place only when there is a change in the season, due to which there will be temperature difference between water in different layer, which causes the change in densities of different layers, and overturning occurs. So while we are discharging the untreated or treated sewage into the lake, so we are considering its depth and its surface area. Lake pollutants. In lake, the phosphorus or nutrients largely contained in industrial domestic wastewater is seriously affecting the quality of lake, and hence it is considered as the prime lake pollutant. Oxygen demanding waste may be the other important lake pollutant. The toxic chemical from industrial wastewater can be present. So as you can see in this figure, some of the or number of industries which are established or located on the this platform of this lake, so that the industrial wastewater, sometimes without treatment or sometimes getting treated, it will be discharged into this lake. So because of the stagnant or stagnation of water surface of lake, so there is no overturning of layers, so oxygen contents only present on the top surface of this lake. So because of discharging this industrial effluent, it contains the toxic substances like phosphorus and enriched in nutrients. So because of that, it will be harmful for the aquatic life present in this lake, and also it will happen the eutrophication, that we will explain in next slide. So what is eutrophication? The phosphorus act as a nutrients for the algal growth. Increase in phosphorus content would increase the algal growth. Excessive in the phosphorus content would increase the algal growth. So excessive algal growth will create a lot of problems like taste, odor, problems in oxygen diffusion in lower layer. Ultimately, the entire lake can get covered with the algae, and it may become useless for other organisms. So as when we are discharging the industrial wastewater into the lake, as it contains or it enriched in phosphorus content and nutrient contents, so high phosphorus contents are harmful, is also harmful for the lake water, as it creates the eutrophication or excessive growth of algae onto the top surface of that lake body. Because of that, the oxygen will not reach up to the bottom layer of lake. So as you can see in this diagram, so because of eutrophication or excessive growth of algae on this top surface of lake or water body, the sun rays or the oxygen which will not penetrate at the bottom layer, so sometimes there will be a anaerobic conditions will happen, and because of that the rapidly depletion of dissolved oxygen content, and it will be harmful for aquatic life as well as other organism present in the lake or bacteria present in the lake. So next is disposal of wastewater in sea or ocean. So up till now we have seen the disposal of wastewater into the river and into the lake. Now we are see the disposal of wastewater into sea or ocean. So how it differs from lake and river? The saturation concentration of dissolved oxygen in water decreases with increasing salt concentration of DO in sea water is approximately 80% of in water. In addition to this deficiency, the temperature of sea water is lower than the sewage temperature, whereas the specific gravity is higher. So by considering these parameters, when the sewage is discharged into the sea water, The lighter and warmer sewage will rise up to the surface, resulting in lighter and warmer sewage will rise up in surface, resulting in spreading of the sewage at the top surface of sea in a thin film. We are called it as slick. Moreover, seawater contains a large amount of dissolved matter which chemically react with the sewage solids, resulting in precipitation of some of the sewage solids, giving a milky appearance to the seawater and resulting in formation of sludge blankets and thin milky layer formed at the top of sea surface, produced offensive hydrogen sulfide gas by reacting with the sulfate-rich seawater. As such, the capacity of seawater to absorb sewage solids is not as high as that of the freshwater of river. Also, the dissolved oxygen content is less. However, since the sea contains large volume of water, most of these deficiencies can be overcome if the sewage is discharged deep into the sewer, such a way from the coastline with extreme care. So as you can see in this figure, the oil and refineries, sometimes these are released some high density sewage into the sewer, into the sea or ocean, but because of the high concentration of salt, it will not uh, dissolve into the sea water, and many problems are creating, like the milky layer or greasy layer form onto the surface of sea, and the elegance or appearance of sea will be very bad. So, following points should be kept in mind while discharging sewage into the sea. The sewage should be discharged in deep sea water. In order to mix sewage properly with the seawater, the sewage should be released at minimum depth of 3 to 5 meter below the water level and taking it sufficiently inside the shore, and thus preventing the nuisance to bath and recreation centers on the shore. To prevent the backing up and spreading of sewage on the seashore, the sewage should be disposed of only during the low tides. Large size tank may therefore be constructed to hold the sewage during the high tides. And provision of large size sewer rated with non-return valve at the end is also an alternative to hold the sewage during the high tides. So these are some prevention measures while we should be taken while discharging the sewage into the sea or ocean. Also, before deciding the position of outfall point, the sea current, wind direction, velocity, etc. should be properly studied. The sea current, wind direction, velocity, once we are studied, the point of disposal should be such that then selected the point of disposal should be such that the sewage is taken away from the shore by the wind and not brought back near the shore by the wind, and not brought back near the shore. So the outfall sewer should be placed on a firm rocky foundation and encased in thick stone masonry so as to properly protect it from wave action, floating debris, etc. The discharge of industrial wastewater into the sea should, however, be controlled in respect of the quality of the effluent by adhering to the following Indian standards that we will say in next lecture. Okay, following points should be kept in mind while discharging the sewage into the sea, that we already seen. So next is disposal of sewage on land. So in this method, the sewage effluent, either treated or raw, is disposed of by applying it on land. The most common forms of land application are irrigation and rapid filtration. When raw or partly treated sewage is applied on the land, a part of it evaporates and the remaining portion percolates into the soil. If proper voids are maintained in soil, the organic sewage solids are oxidized by the bacteria present in the soil under the aerobic conditions. So just like happening in trickling filter. So either we can applying the sewage untreated or partly treated sewage either by irrigation for the purpose of irrigation or by the infiltration. So however, if the soil is made of heavy, sticky and fine grained material, the void space will soon get clogged, resulting in non-aeration of these voids, which would lead to the anaerobic condition and subsequent evolution of foul gases. So care should be taken as while we are infiltrating the sewage into the land, we are study the soil properties as the voids are present are in huge form or whether the soil is compacted. Application of too strong or hard of sewage will also result in the quick formation of anaerobic conditions, and the leads of sewage can be reduced by dilution or pre-treatment. So again, while discharging the sewage into the land, the pre-treatment must be provided. So this is the figure as we can applying the sewage onto the land directly. So either it will be infiltrate into the this soil and land and join to the water table, or we will providing it for the purpose of irrigation for the gardening. Thank you.